Ngayon po hindi kasi based on our guidelines sa only victims of grave human rights
Sa grave
violations are
lang.
civil and political rights. So kung masasama po yung victims of violations of economic, social, cultural rights, definitely hindi po sasapat yung budget na hinihingi namin.
Baka pag natuto yung tao na kung hindi sila nakakuha ng some, some government services, matuto sila pumunta sa ACHR rather than let's say sa barangay. Kasi sa barangay meron, 'di ba, may lupon taga-pamayapa. That's another venue, or sa courts meron silang mediation. So there's actually maraming levels for a constituent to seek um, redress or seek kahit na yung mediation lang or adjudication. But ako, ngayon ko lang nalaman that they can also go to the CHR. Sige, Commissioner. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Idagdag ko lang po na isa sa requirement bago makapag-grant ng financial assistance ang Commission on Human Rights ay dapat magkaroon po ng findings ng human rights violation. Meaning, it must undergo investigation either from our regional offices and then ma-elevate po sa commission. So yun po yung requirement. Hindi po lahat ng lumalapit or nagpa-file ng complaint sa amin ang nabibigyan ng financial assistance. There must be a finding of human rights violation bago po kami makapag-grant. And also, doon po sa usapin natin kanina on, let's say, problem with hospitals, no? Aside from the investigation na kinakandak po namin kung may mga reklamo, we also dispatch quick reaction teams. Specific example would be there was a victim, or there was a patient in one of the hospitals, I think in Las Piñas, na tumawag na hindi po siya pinapalabas dahil kulang yung kanyang pambayad. And what we did was we dispatched a team, went there, and reminded the hospital that that what they're doing is against the law because there is already a law which prohibits yung parang ano ba tawag? Hostage until such time na makapagbayad. And the reason there is the more na nandun yung pasyente, the more na mababaon siya. And when our team went there, ano po, pinalabas yung pasyente. Meron ng mga documentations na ginawa. And so ganun po yung isa rin po yun sa ginagawa ng CHR, yung pagdi-dispatch ng quick reaction teams. Mas maganda po na ma-prevent na yung occurrence ng human rights violation. Para sa amin, mas maganda pong scenario yun.
Rin yan sa Valenzuela. I think 2 years ago. Yeah, last year, 2 years. Yeah.
Yes, as a matter of fact, Your Honor, the mayor went to our office
to consult.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And we came up with a press statement regarding that specific hospital, Your Honor.
Yeah, I think the output of that is they came out with an ordinance, no, so to prevent that from happening. And an extended output is some of our senators filed a law to prevent that because apparently it's a gap in our laws, no. So I think it's Senator Risa and Senator Erwin Tulfo who filed the bill to bawal na i-hostage yung mga may sakit o yung cadaver pag hindi pa makabayad, no. So but it's at least there are more avenues now for our constituents to go and seek redress or seek assistance. CHR, LGU, the more the better, of course. You know, it's like ano lang. I wanted to understand the number of cases that you were handling, and of course the how you handle all of these cases and the type of cases. But malaking binaba, no? From 28,000 yan, 3,000 na lang. So that's actually a commendable feat. And then yung mga itong civil political cases na fina-file sa inyo na majority pa rin in the number of cases. Are these filed against government? Ano ba yung nature nitong mga cases na ito?
So there are cases filed against government actors. Pero meron din pong mga instances where the violators are private individuals or unidentified individuals. bakit po namin tinitignan pati private individual violators? It's because we are also looking at the how the government is fulfilling its obligations under human rights treaties. So under the international human rights framework, it's the government who should be delivering or fulfilling the human rights obligation. So pagdating po sa mga ganong klase ng insidente, we are looking at the due diligence action of the government. So hindi porket private individual yan, hindi namin iimbestigahan namin siya for purposes of determining ano ba ang ginawa ng ating estado dun sa krimen na yun. So it's access to remedies, Your Honor. So access to remedies, a basic, a fundamental human right din. So kapag may failure on the part of, let's say, the police in investigating a crime, the government has failed in its obligation. So in those instances, we can come in and suggest to the state that it's your obligation to conduct investigation and provide remedies to victims, and you should be doing something about it, not necessarily determining that the state has committed violation in the killing, but on the access of the victims to the remedies that should be provided by the state.
While itong mga humihingi ng tulong sa inyo, the violators are government state actors or they're private individuals or both?
Both, yeah.
Both siya. Okay, all right. So meron pa rin tayong mga ganyan na cases
Yes.
now. Are these committed by enforcers or sino nagko-commit nitong mga
Mostly, pagka meron pong mga state actors, mostly enforcers.
enforcers?
Pero there are also instances where the state actors are not uniform service personnel.
Okay, all right. Sige, I won't go into the details na, no, marami kasi yan. And I also saw in your presentation, you also have the part of your prevention program is to conduct jail visitations.
Yes, Your
Mm-mm.
Honor.
And how is it part of the prevention? Why is it part of the prevention program?
Actually, misnomer po yung prevention eh. It's actually a visitorial function, no? Visitorial mandate of the commission. Under the Constitution, we were given the mandate to visitorial mandate for inspection of jail and places of deprivation of liberty, mainly because of torture prevention. So kaya po siya part ng mandate namin is because it's given by the Constitution. And so tapos bukod pa ho dun sa mandate provided by the Constitution under international, we are also, that the state is also a signatory to the Convention Against Torture, as well as the optional protocol on the Convention Against Torture. So kasama po sa minomonitor ng komisyon ang pagtupad ng ating pamahalaan doon sa kanyang obligasyon under the Convention Against Torture.
And then you said that there are still incidents of torture inside our itong mga detention facilities and jail facilities.
Yes.
Meron pa rin.
May mga cases po na
conducted by the PDLs or conducted by
may mga instances po,
non-PDLs?
may mga instances where the jail administrators themselves are the perpetrator, at meron naman po mga instances where the perpetrators are fellow PDLs.
So itong program na ito, itong prevention program is really to prevent torture.
It's to prevent torture. Kasi ayaw naman po namin meron kaming inimbestigahan na actual na torture. Ayaw namin po 'yon.
But outside the jail system, meron pa ba? Dati may pogo, 'di ba?
Sa mga rehabilitation,
pogo sa Pampanga, sa Porac, 'di ba? Obviously may torture.
kasama po sa mga
Pero ngayon wala nang pogo. So other than yung mga detention facilities
Yeah.
natin, meron pa bang iba?
When we speak of places of deprivation of liberty, Your Honor, we are referring not only to jails.
Okay.
We are also referring to mental health facilities because we were given a mandate under the mental health law. Tapos kasama po dyan yung other rehabilitation centers. Ano yung sa bata? Sa bahay Kalinga. Tama ba? Bahay, yung sa mga child caring facilities. Bahay Pag-asa, I mean. Ano pa ba? So, hindi po siya limitado lamang sa jail. Maidagdag ko lamang po, Mr. Chair, that yung aming prevention mandate, bukod ho sa Constitution and international instruments that I already cited, there is also a law. There are also laws providing the Commission these mandates, particularly the anti-torture law, as well as the anti-enforced disappearance law, where the Commission on Human Rights is given the mandate to inspect places of deprivation of liberty.
So that's but the purpose of that is to prevent mga torture, make sure that their living conditions are
Yes, yeah.
up to standards.
Standards, yes.
And then they're even though they're persons deprived of liberty, they're treated with dignity and with standard care.
Yes,
Or the standard of human rights care.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Ano ba ang Chairman, right now, I know we did discuss about the cases, but in your opinion, what is the most pressing human rights issue now, in the Philippines?
Marami po actually.
In a snapshot.
Kung titignan po natin yung international recommendations, we have to go back to the UPR, Universal Periodic Review of the Philippines, the treaty body recommendations, as well as the recommendations of the Special Rapporteur. Kung babalikan po natin yung mga yon, kasi sila po ay mga mekanismo ng karapatang pantao kung saan nire-review yung sitwasyon ng ating bansa. Lalabas po doon na ang mga primary concerns pa rin ay civic space, and by civic space we mean the threats, harassment to human rights defenders, human rights advocates. Marami rin po yung mga killings at may mga claims of enforced disappearances. We also have gender-based violence, child rights violations, at marami pa pong iba. Depende po kasi sa kung titignan niyo po yung ating nabanggit kong mga recommendations coming from the international mechanisms. Ito po yung mga common na lumalabas na mga issues sa ating bansa. And we also observed the similar number in terms of our cases.
Ito yung mga mga nakikita natin, gender-based violence is now becoming an issue, human rights
One of the
issue.
main issues palagi po yan, lumalabas sa mga reviews and actually pati sa aming mga case records. Isa sa mga pinaka-pressing issue ang gender-based violence.
What else ang pressing issue?
Mostly civil rights, Your Honor. If we look at the ILO sa labor po, yung freedom of association, right to organize, isa sa mga issues na ni-raise ng ILO mission yan.
Hanggang ngayon?
Opo, pero we are working with the Department of Labor, the labor sector, as well as the employers to address this issue. Tapos we also have
I thought like sa Valenzuela, well, ngayon bumabam na yung incidents of strikes, but wala naman akong naririnig na merong
bumababa, maari pong bumababa
pine-prevent sila
kasi
ng of freedom of association and expressing their opinion.
yes, but ito po yung mga lumabas na mga isa sa mga issues during the ILO tripartite mission. But luckily, the sectors, the stakeholders like the Department of Labor, the labor group, as well as the employer group are working together to address the issue. At natutugunan po. Ngayon, yung sa iba pong mga kaso na tinatanong po ninyo, we observe yung child-related cases, gender-related cases, as well as civil rights cases.
Nandito ba yun? Kasi very strict yung mga international bodies eh. Like for example, yung 'di ba meron tayong yung GSP Plus
Yes, yeah.
sa Europe, which is connected to our human rights
Yes.
advocacy.
Yes.
In fact, I went there alam ba niya, a few years ago to nag-organize in Senate ng delegation to go there uh, to talk to some legislators ng EU to convince them kasi that time mag-expire na siya eh. No, so to convince them to extend it and because of the kagaya ng sinabi niyo, bumababa yung number of cases, nag-improve yung situation, na-extend naman. No? So nakita natin yung standards for human rights in Europe is very high, no?
Yes, yeah.
Oo. And in your opinion, are we based on those international standards? Sabi niyo kanina, we're not yet there. Hindi pa tayo up to their standards, up to international standards in terms of human rights.
Medyo mahirap po yung tanong ninyo kasi sa lawak po niya.
Yeah.
Kasi kung titignan po natin on the part of the compliance of the government as to the treaty obligations, meron pa rin po tayong mga ilan na hindi na nasasagot, natutugunan, like yun pong National Preventive Mechanism under the Optional Protocol on the Convention Against Torture. Ito po ay tratado na pinirmahan ng ating bansa I think 2014 or 2012. Ito po ay nagre-require na mag-designate ang ating bansa ng National Preventive Mechanism. So more than a decade already passed, wala pa rin pong natatalagang National Preventive Mechanism. And we're trying to lobby the House of Representatives as well as the Senate for the passage of this law. But generally, yes, there is an improvement on the situation, on the human rights situation in the Philippines. So yun po.
So how many treaty obligations do we have that's related to human
We have
rights?
eight human rights treaties. It's the International Covenant on Civil Political Rights, International Covenant on Economic, Social, Cultural Rights, Convention Against Torture, Convention on the Rights of the Child, Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, Convention on the Rights of Migrant Workers, Convention on Persons with Disabilities, and the last is the Convention Against Enforced Disappearance.
So ilan dito sa
Kailangan po nun magpasa ng batas.
Okay. So ilan ang dito sa 8, ilan ang compliant tayo?
Compliant po in terms of legislation, halos lahat po yan.
In terms of
In terms of implementation, doon po
wala tayong compliant? Hindi tayo compliant?
Hindi po natin masabing hindi compliant or compliant, but we are
Kulang-kulang, in other words.
may mga ganun.
Siguro mas maganda, Chairman, to make a checklist.
Yes, Your Honor. We will do.
And then you can furnish us, no, here in the Senate that checklist and see how we can help the CHR to pass laws or help in the implementation of those laws.
Yes, Your Honor.
If it's a funding issue or if it's, let's say, kasi marami dyan, ibang agencies hindi
Yes,
naman
sure.
sa inyo, diba? So if there are items that we can flag the other agencies or support the other agencies so that we can be compliant, then pwede natin gawin yun, no?
Yes, Your Honor, we will do that. Ang isa siguro kailangan ding ma-emphasize na because of the changes in the times, of course, changes in leadership, nagkakaroon po ng shift do sa policies as well as priorities. Kung in relation to the treaty obligations, ang ating pong bansa ay signatory to the second optional protocol on the covenant on the civil political rights. Yun po ay yung nagbabawal ng imposition of death penalty. Kaya lang as we observe, may mga moves for the reimposition of death penalty.
Meron ba nag-file ngayon?
Hindi ko po
Parang alam ko wala
in the
yata
in the past Congress po meron.
Full
Katulad po ng
disclosure, nung una
Yes.
nag-file ako, no? But
yes, Your Honor.
full disclosure, but I didn't file it na after a few congresses.
So katulad po yung mga ganitong bagay, kapag merong attempt to reimpose. So syempre pinupuna po ng komisyon yan because we are obliged under this treaty that we signed to comply. So since we agreed not to impose death penalty, dapat hindi natin ini-impose under the treaty of.
But that's only one, di ba?
That's
Marami,
only one, yes.
marami. So maganda may checklist.
I can see provide additional examples, Your Honor. I think alam niyo po yun, yung previous years yung mga recommendations under the Convention on the Elimination against discrimination against women, yung sa CEDAW recommendations. Marami hong mga recommendations doon na medyo controversial. But we have to deal with it because we are signatory to this treaty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner.
Chair at saka Mr. Chair, Mr. Senator, gusto ko rin pong ibigay na example yung atin pong treaty obligation on the rights of persons with disabilities. So mayroon na rin po tayong counterpart na batas. Pero makikita po natin na sa implementation na challenge po talaga ang ating bayan. So halimbawa, lahat po ba ng government office ngayon, kung hihilingin natin na gumawa ng self-compliance audit, papasa po ba? Ito po bang gusali na to ay papasa pagdating sa rights ng persons with disabilities? Sa atin po bang talakayan ngayong umaga, nagkaroon po ba tayo ng interpreter para sa mga deaf community? Tapos, tignan na rin po natin yung kuminsan yung mga tangka na ginagawa ng mga establishments, private or government. Maglalagay sila ng rampa pero alam natin hindi po talaga safe or feasible for ramps, ganun. So, yan po mga example na meron na pong tayong treaty obligation, meron na rin po tayong local legislation, pero sa implementation po, nahihirapan po tayo. Pwedeng sa limitado ang resources, pwede rin out of ignorance po. Katulad nga sabi ko sa inyo, gagawa sila ng ramp, pero hindi po talaga feasible na gamitin. So, yan po yung mga example ng reality in how to trickle down our treaty obligations and make it more understandable to people in implementing it. Yun po. Thank you.
Best way is for a self-assessment kasi meron naman tayong CHR and like you said, the situation is improving. The dynamics also of the cases is changing. So, but we need to sustain it by self-assessing, no? Government itself. Kung tayo ba ay nagiging compliant to our treaty obligations, even yung mga ganyan na mga implementation ng mga um, projects so that we can fulfill our obligations. I think kailangan may mga ganyan self-assessment rin eh. So that para nag-improve tayo, no? Meron tayong nakikitang improvement in the at least dito sa gobyerno natin, no? Sa
Yes,
government natin. Yeah. And I understand you also have an institute in Human Rights Institute.
Human Rights Institute, yeah.
And that's included in the budget. Is that part of the promotions?
It's part of the program of the promotions office.
The promotions office. And I saw here na meron kayong mga inu-offer na courses
Yes, yeah.
sa mga Human Rights 101, Right to Health, Right to Mental Health, and then specialized courses. But these are not embedded in, let's say, in college, doon sa mga curriculum. These are your initiatives, no?
Yes, Your Honor. Ay, buti, Your Honor, nabanggit niyo yung course embedded sa mga courses because under the ano yung batas natin? RA Republic Act 10366, 10368, or the law creating the Human Rights Victims Memorial Commission. Kasama po kasi sana sa obligasyon ng ating departamento na isama sa curriculum yung human rights part of the curriculum. Ganon din po sa ating anti-torture law. May mandato po ang batas na isama sa curriculum yung human rights education.
But hindi yan nagagawa ngayon?
Hindi pa po siya nagagawa. We are trying to.
Is that under the law ng ano?
Sa law po na that created the Memorial Commission as well as the anti-torture law.
Okay, yeah, because nakita ko very very basic naman to, no? Human Rights 101, Right to Health,
Yes.
no?
Yes.
It's I think these are very general topics on human rights.
Yes, sure.
Hindi naman siya, it's not to a specific specific
Yes.
person or specific administration. It's really general knowledge.
General knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Bakit nga ho, Sir Edie, hindi napapasok to?
Sir, I'll just give an anecdote. When I hire people, I ask them, of the 30 articles in the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, how many human rights do you know? And of that, the answers are, the average number they know is only about 6. So I said, if you don't know the others, I'll take those rights. And that's the my bellwether of what people say na hindi namin alam anong aming karapatang pantao. And that should actually be taught in grade school, in high school, in college, that these are your rights: right to livelihood, right to life, and the different other rights. It's not embedded in the DepEd nor in the CHED. And that's why the CHR also has its Human Rights Institute, but this is outside our formal public state educational institutions. For the Memorial Commission, the added instruction is these rights were actually violated in the 1972 to 1986 martial law period. And by reminding our people of the violations that occurred during this era, it has created what we now sometimes experience, a culture of impunity, even among our state forces, implementing peace and order or even combat operations, and sometimes against our unarmed civilians and citizenry. So this is the special feature of the Memorial Commission in embedding also the period of the martial law. In several Senate deliberations in the past, the question was, why do our teachers, why are they familiar with, let us say, what happened in the Katipunan 100 years ago, but are unable to actually draw up experiences from recent current events like martial law of the last 40 years?
Memorial Commission. Um, yung um, based on our reports, yung Freedom Memorial Museum, hindi pa ho nag-umpisa.
The
Is that the Freedom Memorial Museum? Is that the anchor project of the Memorial Commission?
yes, sir.
Mm-mm. And how come it's not yet it hasn't started yet? And then I understand there's already funds for the Memorial Museum.
You're correct, sir, that the property where the Freedom Memorial Museum will be built will be on 1.4 hectares provided by the University of the Philippines along its Diliman campus. And in that area where they had designated the use of that property for the next 50 years, they had several UP buildings called the UP Community Maintenance Offices. In order to clear the area, the university committed that by September 30 of this year, they will vacate the premises and move to the relocation site that we had built in 2022, which is a relocation site for those who will be displaced when the Freedom Memorial Museum starts construction. It is now already October 15, and they have not fully vacated and provided full possession to the Memorial Commission of the property.
Yeah, any particular reason how come they donated they gave the property via use of RAC, but they haven't vacated the property. Is there any reason for that?
The university has their own reasons, but their commitments to us was that they would vacate it, and if there's several offices still in the area, they would move them in other locations within the Diliman campus so that we can freely enter and have full possession and start already the bidding procedure for the Freedom Memorial Museum construction.
How much is the museum?
The last Board of Trustees passed an ABC of something in the range of 555 million.
That's the total amount na, including
the-
everything.
That was passed several years ago. That number needs to be updated
Okay.
with the current prices because that was estimated during the pandemic period, sir.
Okay. And I understand the funds have been fully allocated already.
The funds are in our trust fund,
The
and
500 million.
they're 597 million as of the moment, sir.
Okay. And then it's the Memorial Commission who will build the museum, or it will be delegated to, let's say, DPWH.
The manner by which we had conducted is a open bidding, and in the past there was a winner
Okay. So
but-
mayroon ng winner.
in the past, sir, but it was awarded. They were given mobilization funds, but UP at that point in time did not want simultaneous building and relocation. And the contractor who won after 10 months presented that it could not fulfill its obligations because of the universities not leaving the property, and we moved for a termination of the contract, termination of convenience.
Okay. So when was this? When was the contract awarded?
That was awarded 2022.
At matagal na.
Yes, sir.
And then after a year, the contract was rescinded.
Yes, sir, because
Force majeure, I would
The-
assume.
it was not force majeure because the contract was to finish it before the 2022 national elections. The winning contractor then had 18 months to build it and actually mobilize. We actually gave them a mobilization fund of around 68 million. They already fenced portion of the property, but because the UP buildings did not move, they were forced to return to us and say that we will be impelled to pull out of the contract for the non-fulfillment of the obligations of the university in providing full possession of the
Yes.
property to the Memorial Commission.
Tagal na pala, 2022. And the contractor returned the mobilization.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In full, without
That's good. At least
in
mabait sila.
full.
Kasi that other contractors will probably not return it because diba, usapan na yan, contract na yan eh.
They must have lost a certain amount as well in the millions for the mobilization, but they did not charge the Memorial Commission for that when we sent the OSG as our legal counsel to negotiate also with their legal representatives regarding extricating both parties from that contract.
So right now, I saw in your presentation earlier that to fulfill your mandate, you also do you have mga mga exhibits. You also have activities, and you have you also go around the country to um, parang mga outreach activities. Ito yung mga ginagawa niyo ngayon.
We do, sir, have a physical space. It's about 92 square meters. Our indoor Freedom Memorial Museum Gallery in our office in 150 Corporate Center along Panay Avenue. The internal space for that museum is actually larger than the privately led Bantayog ng Bayani Foundation, which also has a physical museum for martial law victims and survivors. We do know that it would be difficult for people to go to our physical museum, and that's the reason why we created a mobile library that can go out and present the different memorial and artifacts to a larger audience. We do have also, and I was reminded by the chair, a specialized library wherein we would be the most comprehensive source for all of the martial law related events and data with us. We also have an archive which has been estimated by one of the museum curators to be worth 10 billion pesos. So we hold one of the more valuable archives of our country.
I would assume that the main direction of the Memorial Commission is really the museum. Once that museum is put up, that will be the main symbol of the Memorial Commission.
More than the symbol, sir, it would be the Philippines' contribution to the international community of human rights
Yeah,
museums.
Parang ano yan eh, napuntahan ko yung sa Germany, yung Holocaust Museum.
That museum that you're referring,
Yung nasa
sir,
ilalim.
is the
Uh-huh.
Museum of the Murdered Jews in Europe. And when we were able to have a benchmarking visit there and talk to the museum director, the question I asked is, when were they able to build this museum on a property where no human rights violations was made by the Nazi forces? No one died there. It was not a concentration camp. It was not a killing field. And they said it was in the early 2000 wherein they built that museum, sir, that you were able to visit. And I told the museum director, that's 60 years after the war in 1945. Why did it take Germany so long to build that kind of museum? And he says, that's part of a nation's journey, because later on, another ideological branch would win in their government. They would move that location. They would defer the construction. And what we have seen since 1986, we have not yet been able to build our Human Rights Museum. It will be 40 years next year from on anniversary of People Power. So this is a journey of our country in recognizing our past and then perhaps showing it to the young people of what society They'd like to build for the future. These are the importance of these memorials. It is not to open wounds of the past, but in order to educate our people that if you try to trade economic liberties for human rights violations, this is what may happen. You may not end up with both.
Museum is ano yun eh, parang nasa basement. I remember, and maganda siya. It's really nicely curated, high tech. Has a lot of hologram. I remember features, a lot of videos. Ganun ba? Are we envisioning the same high tech museum?
We're inviting you, sir, to visit the proof of concept now that we have.
alright.
And in fact, some of the items that you've seen in Germany, especially the large black and white photographs, big
Yeah.
6 black and white
Yeah, I remember that.
photographs representing 1 million victims per photograph. We've placed a similar concept in our museum of different sectors who were very young then, but who survived the martial law period. So they have also provided inspiration for the curation of the Freedom Memorial Museum Gallery.
Who is the architect and the designer of this museum?
It is lodged with the Freedom Memorial Museum, with us, sir,
Yeah.
with the
Did we get
commission.
an external architect to do it?
We just hired some people from the UP
so
architecture.
internal na
This is
siya.
internally made.
Okay, okay.
So it's everything local.
Okay, okay. Well, I think museums now are becoming very high tech eh. May mga, I remember doon may hologram, very interactive. I remember you don't just walk around and from start to end you interact with some of the technologies. Very interesting, very interesting. Yeah.
We have incorporated what we can afford in this Freedom Memorial Museum Gallery, and there's actually a rendition of the attack on Palembang Sultan Kudarat. It's a voice replication of what did happen with a huge light box. So there is an immersive content. And the students who have been there, and as well as some government officials and some international visitors, the difficulty of presenting this period is would it be prone to leaning towards propaganda or simply a objective view of what happened during the period? And I think in that curation, people who are, let's say, pro-Marcos didn't feel that it was really putting all the blame on the Marcos. We have people who come from the military to view it, and they felt that there was also recognition on the heroism of the military in people power when they sided with the people. It's a difficult balance, but the role of victims of 11,103 state-recognized victims, that is the main draw, because no other Asian nation has been able to provide that kind of extensive list to show to the general public of what we have done so far.
Thank you, Edie. I'll go back to the CHR proper. I just have some few more questions on the sa budget itself, no? And this is on the, hold on. Itong we provide legal assistance,
Yes.
Chairman. And
Yes.
Itong legal assistance, this is for those victims.
Victims, yes, yeah.
This is when they file to you or when they file to other courts? How does this work, itong legal assistance?
Hindi po when they file the complaint sa commission.
Oo.
It's more of a
Kasi
when
sila
they
yung
file
complainant eh, di ba?
when they file complaints in courts, prosecutor's office, or maybe referral to other agencies of the government.
So, for example, you refer the complainant to another court, to another jurisdiction.
Yes, yeah.
Tinutulungan nyo sila
Kasama po, yes,
yung legal
yes.
assistance.
Yes,
Kayo na rin gumagawa ng pleadings.
affidavits, pleadings,
Okay.
ginagawa rin.
And then who represents them? Ano na?
Um, maybe private lawyer, public attorney.
Or public attorney's
Yes.
office na. Okay. So that's another service that you provide the complainants.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That's under which program?
Under the protection program.
Under the protection. So yun hindi nakasali. Obviously hindi nakasali yun dun sa case niyo, no? Hindi niyo na minomonitor yun.
Kasama po sa minomonitor.
Okay.
Pero
Okay.
separate docket siya. It's not part of the list of the cases for investigation.
Yeah.
Kasi may mga instances where complaints are filed, they require investigation, but at the same time, they require other protective services. So kapag minsan nag-file ng complaint sa amin for violations of human rights, we also determine other protective services that the commission can provide, like legal assistance. Kasi yung sa amin po is determination lamang ng human rights violation eh. Pero may mga instances kasi na yung mga reklamo nila would also require criminal prosecution or administrative adjudication. So sa mga ganun pong pagkakataon, we provide legal services by assisting them in the filing and preparation of the complaints or documentation of their cases for filing in the appropriate agencies of the government. So halos sabay po yung mga programa o mga services na binibigay.
I was asking my staff, merong mga human rights index that scores the different countries on their human rights activities. Pinapakuha ko lang. Are we faring better or how are we doing in those indices?
Wala po kasi sa akin yung index ng HRA.
May mga international, let me just pull it up. Meron na kaming nakita sa lumalabas to once in a while no sa news yung Freedom House.
Yes, yeah.
Ang ating ang score natin dito, freedom at a glance. Global freedom is 58 out of 100. Then internet freedom is 60 out of 100. It's described as partly free. Global freedom is partly free. Internet freedom is partly free. And then it goes, political rights is 25 out of 40. Civil liberties is about 33 out of 60. So nasa gitna tayo, no? We're not
Yes, yeah.
we're not naman in the bottom, we're in the middle.
Yes, yeah.
Itong Freedom House, I read it quite often. Lumalabas to in the news. So, of course, ang ating goal is to increase it, no, to get a higher score. And what will it take, Chairman, and the Commission to get a higher score, no? Ano ba yung mga kailangan natin? And is that with the request that you are asking the Senate, itong 344 million, will it also translate into improve improve scores in this index? Will it also translate, let's say, into a improve, kasi image rin to eh.
Yes,
No?
yes, Your
Image
Honor.
ng bansa to eh. Ito
Yes, Mr.
mga
Chair.
international scoring uh, um, organization, it's really for image purposes eh.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis other countries. So, yung ang punto ko is ito bang itong budget nyo ngayon, itong hinihingi nyo, will it improve the image of our country insofar as human rights is concerned?
To answer your question, Mr. Chair, directly, no. Kasi hindi naman po kami yung sinusukat. And it's not the Commission on Human Rights performance that's being measured by these bodies. It's the performance of the government, the entire government,
Government or the country?
the entire country, by the government actually, because it's the government that is the primary, or who has the primary obligations in protecting and promoting human rights. So kami po ay
Just one aspect lang.
monitor. We are the human rights monitor, but also the bridge. We have the bridging role in the with regard to civil society and the government as well as the international mechanisms. So kung meron if the mandate of the commission would be appreciated objectively, you will see that the commission can work with the government. The commission can work with the civil society. We can also work with the international mechanism. And kami po ay makakatulong doon sa pagtupad ng ating pamahalaan. At ganun din ay mapagsolba ng mga problemang inihahain ng ating mga kababayan. Although indirectly, ang tugon ko po ay indirectly, the additional budget would help the increase of the perception index of the Philippines in terms of human rights compliance dahil kami po ay makakapagtulong upang masolusyonan yung mga issues na o hinaing ng ating mga kababayan na patungkol sa karapatang pantao.
Ang suggestion ko to the commission, since ang commission naman is first of all, part of your advocacy is to improve the situation, is to guide government on how
Yes,
to
yeah.
improve its image.
Yes,
No,
Your Honor.
nag-i-improve, like you said, no, the situation is improving, therefore the image is also improving, but we have to continuously improve. No? Nasa gitna lang tayo, kumbaga, we're just in the middle of the pack. No? So, I suggest to the commission to assist the country on what to do to further improve its image, and through a parang a checklist or a roadmap, so that every budget hearing we can also talk about this with our other agencies.
Yes, Your Honor. We continually do that, Your Honor. In fact, as I said earlier, very active po kami in coming up with agreements with the different agencies of the government para po matugunan yung mga concerns regarding human rights na naapektuhan doon sa kanilang mga specific departments or agencies. So in particular, I can cite some: DOLE, AFP, Bucor. Recently, we had an agreement with the Coast Guards, PTFOMS, CHED, and other agencies of the government.
Yeah.
So yun po ang purpose nun ay human rights promotions, data sharing, collaborative activities, all in fulfillment of the duty of the government to respect and protect human rights.
Yeah. Kasi ang category natin partly free eh. No? So we're not yet there in terms of the global standard. Eh. So I suggest to the commission is to put a roadmap in place. Ano ba dapat gawin ng gobyerno as a whole? I know it's not your responsibility, but pwede kayong maging the guide for all agencies to follow. No?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then there are also specific deliverables talaga. No? Kasi if it's just very broad strokes, hindi ma-measure eh. Para ma-measure talaga natin yung deliverables.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's what I suggest to the commission.
Yes, Your Honor. We
Yeah.
do that, Your Honor.
And then lastly, I saw in your budget, may traveling expense na 69 million. It's 14% of your MOOE. So anong ang typical traveling activities ng commission?
Yun pong travel expenses na yan covers the travel cost of all travel cost requirement of all the employees and officials of the commission. So kasama po yung mga regional offices namin who are required to travel from one province to another. Covered po yan. And yun pong
The performance of your duties, which is
yes, Your Honor.
to investigate,
Yes, Your Honor.
to gather facts, I would assume.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Tapos meron din po kaming mga international travels because of our engagement with the UN human rights mechanisms. So kapag ho may mga sessions sa United Nations or during the review of the country, we are being required by the UN to attend also to serve as resource persons aside from the government delegation. So tapos bukod pa ho dyan, we also some of the members of the commission hold positions in international organizations. Like myself, Your Honor, I hold a position in the Asia Pacific National Human Rights Institution Forum, where I serve as the governance committee member. Commissioner Beda Epres serves as a member of the subcommittee on accreditation of the Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institution. So may mga requirement po na kailangan kaming umattend sa international activities as required by our functions. Pero majority of the fund na binanggit po ninyo, these are funds for to sustain the investigation and our promotion services.
All right. Thank you, Chairman. And I don't have any more questions. So there being no further questions, the budget of the Commission on Human Rights, including its attached agency, the HRVVMC, is now deemed submitted for the plenary's consideration, subject to the discussion and submission of documents requested. So maraming salamat,
Thank you.
Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Hearing is suspended.